Hey, my name is Bagrat Lalayan, and I'm host of this channel, Awakening. If you're watching this video, it means you know that there's so many roads to God, but the truth is only one. So thank you so much for subscribing to the channel, but also for liking and sharing this video. I'm also the author of The Awakening. There is only one truth book, which is available on Amazon and many other platforms. And I'm sure that The Awakening will support you on your spiritual journey. So let's start. Today is Wednesday, and it means that I have a special guest, Joe Pauswinski, the true and light seeker, the person who is inspiring a lot of people on their spiritual journey due to his wisdom, his mystical knowledge, and experience. So, welcome back, Joe. And
Hello.
hello. And today we are going to reveal a very important secret about Joe. That Joe is not only the truth seeker, but he is also the knight. And not only the knight, but actually the grand master of the mysterious and ancient order of the cross with a red star. So that will be a topic of our discussion today. We will also talk a little bit about the Knights Templars. But let me start with the first question, Joe. So please tell us a little bit about the history of the Order of the Cross with a Red Star, some interesting facts, and also how did you manage to join this mysterious order and became the Grand Master?
Well, that's a good story. And as I related in a previous episode, uh, I got into many things such as astral projection as a result of being in traction from a physical disease for a year and a half. And having my parents be told to make plans because I wasn't coming home. So a lot of things, seekers sometimes say, I want to see, I want to be able to do this thing. For me, the question was always, well, how do I do this thing? As many people know, I started out in nuclear physics, uh, doing bombs and laser weapons and nice things like that. And one day I just I realized that everything I was working on was geared toward the total destruction of mankind, and I couldn't do it anymore. And I just walked away from it. And I decided I was going to be a diplomat. I was going to work in an embassy or something like that because I always loved to travel. Okay. So my father, who had started a driving school 4 years before I was born, asked me if I could work with him until my courses started up. Because the next program for what I was looking at didn't start until November, and this was sort of like March or April. So I worked that time figuring that beginning of November, I would probably take off from November through the end of from until I was deep in my studies, I would still work at the driving school part time. But part of what happens when you have a certain personality, people push you to the front. It's just like anybody who's listening, if you're ever in a meeting and you come up with an idea like, why don't we do this? The most common thing that's going to happen next is they'll say, that's an excellent idea and you are in charge. So I just wound up being in charge of things. I caused a boom in the business at our company. I also got involved in things on a state level, on a national level, and even on an international level. Uh, what had happened, it was back, I was supposed to change careers in November, and on October 21st, my father had a burst aorta. And according to the doctors, 4 seconds later, he was dead. And so suddenly all my plans were gone and I was thrust somewhere else, completely different. And I frequently asked myself, I looked up and I said, Lord, what do you have planned for me that you had me do all this schooling and all this training, and now I'm sort of nowhere. But then as I moved on and became more involved with other groups, things still continued to happen. Okay, in 1995, I was giving a speech at a conference in Prague, and what happened was we were traveling with a couple from Southampton, England, whose father, it turns out, just happened to be the chief druid in all of England. So another one of those coincidences.
Another one, coincidence.
Yeah. So as we traveled, my wife Annette wanted to see the Infant of Prague. The Infant of Prague is, if you want to call it a statue or a doll, it's approximately 18 inches tall. And supposedly, a religious lady named Agnes Prigenou, I have the name wrong, in the 12 or 1300s, founded the only crusading Templar hospitaller order that was founded by a woman. And she took this statue and put it outside the city gates of Prague. And as a result of that, the Great Plague did not come into Prague. And that was the beginning of the Order of the Knights of the Cross.
So the first miracle happened.
Well, yeah, if you could be just a coincidence, but maybe. So what happened was she started that, and it was predominantly a mail order. Eventually, what happened, it was taken over by religious, and all the members of the order were priests, bishops, and cardinals. Some of them had to be cardinals in pectore, which is a term when during communist times, and they didn't want the communist countries to know that these people had risen to such high levels. So anyway, this is 1995. Communism, the Berlin Wall came down in 1989. And 1995, the former unwilling participants in the Soviet Union, such as your homeland of Armenia, were starting to branch out on their own. So there was a meeting for driving school people, and I was the vice president of the International Association. So I had to show up and say some words. But anyway, getting back to Annette, she said, you know, at the foot of the famous Charles Bridge was a church. And the church was supposedly the current residence of the statue, the Infant of Prague. Okay. So she said, we have to do that. So myself, a gentleman, Peter Russell, his wife, Pearl, and my wife, Annette, went there and basically said, we want to see the Infant of Prague. Well, when we walked in, I immediately noticed all of these Templar things. For example, a black and white checkerboard style floor and other things like that. We talked one time about how little hints are there to grab our attention and say, look here, look here. And so then we saw a very modest statue sitting unadorned on one of 7 or 8 altars in the church. And we said, this can't be it. So we asked, and they said, oh, no, 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 no. That's the replica. The real one is down in our crypt church, which we don't let anybody go to.
Of course, as usual, right? So yes,
yeah.
All the secrets are.
They said, in order to do that, in order to do that, you'll have to come back tomorrow and talk to the head of the Order of the Knights of the Cross with the Red Star, and it gets his special permission. So I'm Joe, so I'll go back and Say, let me in. Uh, so the next day we went in, and great coincidence, just as we were walking into the residence of this fellow who had been tortured during communism and was the current head of the order, the Grand Master, just as we knocked on his door and were admitted to his apartment, Pope John Paul II was arriving in Prague for a state visit.
Another coincidence. Yeah.
Yeah, and uh, Bishop Morrow said, "This is a sign from God. Ever since the end of communism, I have wanted to start a non-ecclesiastical, meaning not ordained minister, branch of the Knights of the Cross and the Red Star. And you're here at exactly the same time he's here. So that means he is telling me that you are the one who should be the Grand Master." So that's how I got to be Grand Master of the Knights of the Cross with the Red Star, non-ecclesiastical.
It's interesting because first of all, it's a great story. There's so many historical facts, and I love Prague. I think Prague is a really mysterious city, and I would really recommend to those who have never been in Prague in Czech Republic, really visit this country and the city. But we've been talking last time about the feminine aspect of the divine, and actually it's due to Annette that you appeared in that church, right? And you met all these people. That was like her mission. Probably you would never become the Grand Master of this order without, Annette's, let's say, desire to see and to attend this church, right?
Well, yes. And also, the other coincidence is that it was the only chivalric order that was founded by a woman.
Yeah,
So
you see.
anyone who's interested, they can look up the history of that on Wikipedia, and they'll give you all the dates and everything like that. But it's just interesting. Well, coincidence, right?
Coincidence, yes. So, Joe, we are talking about, let's say, the modern period of the order when you became also the Grand Master. But from the historical point of view, what were the relationships between the Knights of the Cross with the Red Star and the Knights Templars? Because I know that both orders are affiliated, I would say, sister organizations, right? Orders.
Fraternal
Yeah.
organizations.
So how it became that, these two orders, they were so close, but at the same time, they were independent from each other.
Well, when the Templars were arrested in 1307, Friday the 13th, October 1307, Philip le Bel decided he would give all of their property to the Knights Hospitaller, which in effect became a co-branch of the Knights Templar. Sneaky little guys, they never died. They hid. And if anyone is going to Scotland, make sure you schedule a stop at Rosslyn Chapel, which was a very big Templar site when they escaped, because that was when Henry VIII was having his problem that the Pope would not give him an annulment to remarry and have a male child. So he created his own church, and everyone who wished to remain Catholic sort of either went into hiding or went into Scotland. And it's also another aspect to get into how things go. So the connection is that the Hospitallers took over a lot of what was being done by the Templars, while the Templars were, in a sense, underground. So that's what happened. And then the Templars have a tradition, as many orders do. For example, Rosicrucians even have a number. I think it's 108 years or something like that, where they they actually they sort of go into a period almost like hibernation,
Yes. Mhm.
and that's what creates that difficulty.
So, what is the mission of the order today? And if someone is interested, how interested people can join actually the order of the cross with the red star?
Knights of the Cross with a red star. Well, the first thing is we don't recruit anybody.
Mhm.
We're not permitted to seek applicants. We're required to have all applicants seek us out, and then we're supposed to try to discourage them and prove that they're really interested because we deal with many things on a higher esoteric level. And uh, some things you can get into just by reading a book. But when you get into these ideas and, as we talk coincidences and you see that there are no such things, um, if you're going to question every little step along the way, yeah, it will slow you down, which actually is a good thing. We discussed that once before that when people are exposed to the esoteric and different planes of existence, at first they want to fully possess it and they can actually burn themselves out. So, yeah, our role, as I see it, we're limited to nine named knights, and
Mhm.
we can have other people in waiting and stuff like that, but we can only have nine knights at any one time. It's interesting to note that since 1995, when we started the non-ecclesiastic branch, we've never gotten up to nine. The highest we've ever gotten to is eight. And then a few people transitioned to another level of existence. They're still with us in our hearts and in our prayers, but they're not with us on this level of existence. So, what we're here for, in my mind, is we're sort of like a university. Maybe that's one way to put it.
Mhm.
All where we are there for someone who wants to consider some things higher, they can do them. They can do that, and then they can figure where to go. One of the things I've learned a long time ago, when I first started realizing about psychic abilities, if you want to call it that, and I asked people, well, which one, you've known me for a couple of years, which area do you think I should pursue? They always, no matter who it was, they always said the same thing. And they said, oh, we can't tell you that because if we tell you and we're wrong, we've destroyed your path. And instead of that, what we do is we all have a pathway through life. And for a period of time, we walk together. And that's what I think we provide a companion for that time. It is interesting to note that one of the symbols of the Knights Templar is two knights on one horse. Some people say it's because of poverty. Some people say it's because of homosexuality. But one of the things is that one of the duties of a Templar is to carry the soul of his brother or sister across the river to the next part of the journey. And that's a very sort of not well known and understood part of the Templars.
Oh, that's a great explanation. And you just mentioned that probably your mission is to be a kind of university. I would probably compare it with that PhD degree or doctoral degree. So because a lot of light seekers, they graduate the high school when they, you know, at least achieved some level of the spiritual awakening of evolution, right? Being, following one of the religion or, at least reading some important inspirational books. Then you go to the college or university. It means you are joining different fraternal organizations. Some of them we mentioned today, like again, Rosicrucians or Freemasons or Knights Templars, etc. But then above those organizations, you have this doctorate, PhD level, right, for the highly evolving souls and people. And the fact that the Order of the Cross with a red star is limited just to the specific number of the knights, it makes a lot of sense. Because unfortunately today, the selection process is not the same like it has been many years ago, right? In the ancient time of the orders of the, Templars or Masons or Rosicrucians. So today, in many countries, and we have these examples, people just can submit the application online, pay, kind of a membership dues, and that's it. And you are a
That's
knight
it.
or you are, a brother of the organization, and then you will be just invited for the initiation, and then you just need to join different rituals, meetings, initiations, and go and grow from grade to grade, from degree to degree. But the selection process, of course, is not the same like it used to be in the past. And yeah, of course, there is also an explanation because all these important fraternal organizations, they should survive. And we discussed it last time. It's not easy, for example, to maintain the Masonic Temple, Rosicrucian Temple, or even the societies like Theosophic Society or Anthroposophic societies, etc. They're experiencing the same
Absolutely.
issue, right? Because today we live in the times of the cults and different sects and different, fundamental organizations. They are very good in marketing of the souls. And the fraternal organization, they are still following kind of an old school approach. But again, there's some kind of a level of the filtration of the selection of the people is very important because you cannot do your PhD or doctorate degree just after the middle school or high school. You really need a college or university, or bachelor's degree in the middle, right? So that's why it's more of a natural journey. So, Joe, for those who are, for example, are dreaming to become the knights, and it's clear that it's almost impossible to join your order just because of the rule of the knight, right? But if people are interested in joining the Knights Templars organization, what will be your recommendation or advice? Because there's so many Templars organizations today. So probably more than 100 different orders they claim that they are, following the traditions of the ancient Knights Templars. So there is also Knights Templars degree even in Masonic York Rite, for example, right? So
Yes.
a lot of people when, I am the Knight Templar, and sometimes people they are very much confused, say, oh, it's just because you have this degree in your, Masonic organization, but it's different worlds actually. So what will be your suggestion, your advice for those who would like to join probably the true Knights Templars organization today, or Knights Templars order to be more correct?
Okay, I would, first suggestion would be to try to teach people to turn off their mind and what they think, and instead try to notice what they feel. Because a lot of these things come down to vibrations. You know, there's an old expression, you may never remember what somebody said, but you'll always remember how they made you feel. And that's what it is. If you go to a group and you see a lot of fraternal organizations or clubs like Rotary, I mean, and they're good things. You swap cards and you make business contacts and things like that. But with this, you have to really evolve and start listening to your feelings rather than thinking your way through them. For example, one of our biggest things in the Knights of the Cross with the Red Star is that we don't want you to believe in God. We want you to know that there is God. Because once you know, then you can feel things. For example, we don't believe in gravity. We know there's gravity. And as a result, if you hold a ball and you let it go, it drops. Okay. So otherwise, you have to figure out all of those things along the way. And so that's it. Once you can establish flow, you get into a stream and you're moving along, and that's where you will feel correct. So if people are looking for a club, that's one thing. But if they're looking to answer some of their deepest personal questions, that's another, which means you have to trust the people around you. And how do you know you trust them? You'll be able to feel it. And one of the things I hope we are able to do is to teach our brother and sister knights to understand their feelings and to rely on them in situations, not just to think their way out of stuff, but to feel their way.
Right. Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you, Joe. So the key takeaway messages from Joe's wisdom today are: first, try to listen your feelings, not only to think through your feelings. So it's very important to feel, not only to analyze everything you do. The second is you should know that God exists and not just only believe, because belief is not something firm. And this example with gravity is great. So because the knowledge will, take us to the truth, right? And belief is actually a sign of hope. Yes, we believe because we hope that God exists or our life will change. But if we know, it means that we know the truth, that this is the truth, this is the right road, and we really need to listen to our master within, to our feelings, and to the God of our hearts, right? So, Joe, that was a great story, a personal story. Thank you so much for sharing these important facts about the mysterious order of the cross with a red star, and also your insights on the connection with the Templar Knights, and also about how actually to build the spiritual journey. Again, let's think about this like a high school, college, and doctorate degree. So don't rush to jump from one degree to another, from one level of education to another. Go step by step, and this is probably the most important advice. So, Joe, thank you so much again for joining today. We will continue these exciting meetings probably every Wednesday. And I wish you a great day. And I wish the great day and evening to everyone who is watching this video today. Again, thank you for subscribing, watching, liking, and sharing the videos of the Awakening channel. Thank you so much.
Oh, and thank you.
Thank you.